7 of our appointed members, 8 of our appointed members. So we have a quorum here. We'll go ahead and get started with the agenda. It is good to see everybody again here. So we haven't seen each other since February. It seems like that was ages ago in COVID-19 land. So I hope everybody is doing well. And if you did not already see the agenda, I'm happy to share it again. But the first thing that we had up there was the approval of the February 25th minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and share those on the screen here in just a second. So did anybody have any edits or questions to the minutes for February 25th?
No.
Okay. Can we get a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
This is Cindy. I move that we approve the minutes as presented from the February 25th, 2020 meeting.
Very good. We can do it by acclamation. So all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Okay. We have approved the February 25th minutes. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is reviewing the CGI videos. So all of you have been shared the link with the videos. Hi, Meredith. Do you have any questions, concerns, comments on those? And Paula and Chris, I'll share that link with you as well. I apologize, as the new members here, we have not gotten that to you. Basically, just a quick summary. It's several chapters that cover key areas of the city, from history to real estate to education, as well as just some general welcome and background videos in there. It's been a long process that we've been working through these and gone back and forth on a couple of edits with them. I got some tremendous feedback as we have been sort of looking at them over the last few weeks, just in wanted to get any other questions you guys had on that.
So the feedback that was given, will that be implemented and sort of filtered and changed?
We have revised several of those pieces, Bryce, so I sent you a second link there that has the most up-to-date version in it. If you didn't get that, let me know and I'll send it to you as well. It is still missing some of those pieces, some of which because they don't have the material for it. When we shut down in March for COVID-19, that included our videography team, so we were not able to go out and get some of those spring shots that we had previously planned on. So we can get some of those. We were working with Christy and some of our tourism team as well to get some of the B-roll footage of the greenery that we have now out and about in the community as well. So we will add those pieces in, but if there's any other feedback on that, let me know beyond those initial edits that we had and the additional pieces that we wanted to add in there.
Meg, what was the date of the latest email with the updated video? Was that July 10th, or have you sent it again since then?
I believe that was the most recent one. Let me double check, Meredith. Hi, Mayor. Oh, you're muted, Mayor. We just
Yeah, I know. I clicked on something and I signed off, and I had to go back and sign in, and I'm like, this is just a little.
Looking to that we've had a couple of our members have major life events happen. Quentin is not here because he has welcomed a new baby in the last few weeks, and Meredith, I think, had some happy news recently as well. Yes, the bling on the finger.
That's what I say. I'm like, let's see it.
Oh, I didn't know what the mayor was waving at. I was like, that's a different way to wave. Yes.
Congratulations. Yeah.
So life does go on even in COVID-19 land.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for somebody to pick up our pandemic love story, and I will be tapping into all of you because I know you have connections with all the vendors and all the popular people in the city. So just be prepared. I'm going to call in a favor.
That is very true.
I muted myself again. Okay. I will double check and make sure you guys all have the most recent link to the video. But if you can send me that final feedback, maybe by Monday of next week, we'll work on getting some of that B-roll footage around meetings and whatnot with our team. Okay. So the next thing on our agenda is update on current COVID-19 efforts. So one of the biggest pieces that we have going on right now is our mask communications. As you guys are aware, the county implemented a mask requirement a few days ago at the beginning of the month. And so we are trying to do regular reminders about the impact masks can have on the spread, as well as the simplicity of it all. So we are at this time working to about 3 reminders a week on masks. As you guys can imagine, there is significant message fatigue associated with communications related to COVID-19 pandemic, etc. So we would love to tap the creativity of this group and all of the people on here. And that reminds me, we have 2 new faces. And I said at the beginning that we would introduce you guys, and I kept rolling right along. So we have Paula Martin and Chris. I don't have your last name in front of me. So Paula, can you introduce yourself, and then we'll have Chris introduce herself as well?
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. I'm excited to be on the committee. Paula Martin's my name, and I live right behind Truman High School. So I've been a resident of Independence till I was 21 and recently moved back about 14 years ago. I'm a grandmother of 7, hopefully 8 today. And I'm a Girl Scout leader for my granddaughter's Girl Scout troop in Independence. I like to be involved, and I really like to be part of solutions and not problems. So I hope I can contribute today and moving forward. So I look forward to working with you guys.
Thank you very much, Paula. We appreciate you agreeing to join us. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, are you still with us?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I was trying to get my thing to turn on. Hi, guys. I am Chris, and I'm born and raised in Independence. I had a 2-year jaunt in Kansas City, but came back to my hometown. And I actually live on the west side of Independence, near the Blue Ridge area. And I am a People Solutions, which is a really aggressive way of saying HR for a professional services firm. And I'm super excited to be on the committee and to be involved.
Thank you both very much. We're excited to have 2 new people and ideas that come with it. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask us, and we will keep things rolling. So masks was where we were talking about. Wanted to let you guys know we do have 2 PSAs that are in the works right now. One is with our friends at the Mavericks, and we'll do one with them. And then another is working with local businesses to talk about the economic impact that COVID is having on our community. So we are doing interviews this week and next week to record those scripts, and hopefully at the end of next week we'll have that economic impact mask PSA as well. So if you guys have other creative ideas related to masks, let me know, and we can sort of talk about that. The other pieces that I specifically wanted to talk to you guys about related to COVID are random acts of community ideas and positive story ideas. So just a general update for those of you guys. A couple of you are on other committees and things that receive this on a pretty frequent basis. We saw a 20% increase in cases in Jackson County over the last week. We are seeing an increase particularly in 20 to 29-year-olds in the Jackson County region. They have exceeded all other age groups at this time. We are in regular communications with the county on both numbers associated with COVID as well as the order and updates associated with it. The mayor has been doing a tremendous job representing the city at various committees, both in Jackson County and the metro area, in which we're participating. But that has taken over a lot of my life as a member of the incident command team, as well as just communications in general across the country. There's a lot of talk about how we talk about all of this. And not only do we have fatigue from the people that are hearing it, but fatigue from the people that are helping create the messaging. After a while, there's only so many ideas that you can have. So if you guys have any thoughts on masks, some creative things that you've seen in other communities, some creative ideas that you've had just sort of looking at different pieces around the globe, we would love to hear from you as we continue this messaging, unfortunately, probably well into the fall in 2021. So opening it up for brainstorming, questions, ideas.
Meg, I really liked some of the examples that you shared with us from some of the signage. I thought those were good. It might be fun or maybe even a little bit tricky, but if we could make those more pertinent to our area, that could be interesting.
Okay, yeah, just so you guys can see what that was, let me pull it up on my screen in just a second. And what it was a take on music lyrics, which the first thing that popped into my head was "The police don't stand so close to me," and I'm surprised they didn't have a sign with that one.
That would be very cute. That would be cute.
So hold on and I'll grab that if you guys. You guys are never this quiet. It's making me really self-conscious, guys. Sorry, I had most of these pulled up and I realized that one was one of the ones I didn't have pulled up. So,
So there was a discussion just, this morning in one of the meetings that I was in, and I think what's going to be really important regarding the masking for in the next couple of weeks is people are going to start expecting to see positive results from the orders that were put into place. I mean, I'm concerned that if we don't, and Meredith is, part of our, everyday team on this as well. So I know you'll have some thoughts too, Meredith. I mean, if people don't see that it's having an impact, it's going to be increasingly difficult to, ask them to comply. So I think that might, Meg, provide us with some additional messaging that if we start seeing, I mean, hopefully if we start seeing a decline, then, I mean, we have a long way to go on a decline for it to be where we want it to be. But if we start seeing those numbers even slowly coming down or having longer periods between, kind of surge days or surge weeks, then I think that could freshen the messaging a little bit, like, we're making progress, because I think right now people feel like this has been in place now for 3 weeks. Isn't that right? Didn't it start June 1st?
July 1st, yeah.
Or July 1st, excuse me, July 1st.
They're all together.
And the numbers haven't really budged. I mean, in the right direction.
And
but I think, with kids now, hopefully maybe going back to school, kids going hopefully back to college, that it's a good time to put some more stuff out in the community. I definitely agree with that. I mean, our farmers market is now open 2 days a week. There's some more opportunities to get stuff out there. Businesses are figuring out how to have customers. We still have a 3 good months left of, or more of nice outdoor weather that, we can utilize our parks and along our trails. Potentially the county might help, allow us to do some of that along Little Blue. But, I'm hopeful that in the next week or two, we'll start seeing the benefits from the mask order. And if we don't, it's going to be a real uphill battle. Meredith, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I definitely agree, Mayor, with all of those sentiments. And I think the thing that is working to our advantage, I think from messaging, and hopefully that's giving Meg and you all some level of relief or assistance, is that I think it has become socially and culturally kind of acceptable, not only just regionally, but really locally. I think the district has had a large part in that. The more that we see the images and the videos of the kiddos wearing it, it helps that there's branding and there's some, personalization that's happening with the masks. So now it's becoming a thing where it's cool. It's not cool not to have one on. Yeah. And I think I've probably bought 5 different masks in the last week just so I can change things up. So the idea that I can put a message on a mask is pretty cool. And I think in line with everything that's happening socially and just with everything that's going on, people kind of want to make a statement about what they believe or how they identify or whatever. And so I think that personalization has really helped. I think without getting into the politics, you're right, it is very difficult if we zoom up a little bit and we look at kind of that bi-state approach and messaging to the masks, where you have one governor who is really talking about letting that public health planning and messaging lead, and they've made adjustments. And then we've got on our state line a very different approach that it doesn't necessarily align with the preservation of public health. So it's almost conflicting, I think, for residents. We're moving full steam ahead. Many times you don't see our governor wearing a mask. I think when they did their last presser about the law enforcement and crime, not one of those law enforcement officials had a mask on. So it's just it's a conflicting message, and I think a visual, especially for that age group that Meg was talking about, who seem to be the ones that are coming in contact with the virus and actually becoming infected. I think our kids are getting it. Our parents and households with children are getting it. I do have some concerns about that, 20 to 30 age bracket who just are kind of indifferent at this point, especially with those being potential carriers to those who are higher risk populations. I went down to Taney County, and my fiance and I were one of a minority. I mean, literally, you couldn't go anywhere and find anybody wearing a mask. And so that was hard. Those people are traveling and they're coming back into the city. So I think all of that blubbering to say the most I think that we can do is, I think you guys have done a great job of leading by example. Anytime you're in front of imaging, whether that be visual cameras or video, you guys are wearing your masks. I love the idea of promoting a message on a mask. I love the signage idea, Meg, and if we can even connect it to Truman and some of the catchy phrases and sayings he had, and kind of, wrap around a quirky thing about wearing a mask, or, reinforcing the importance because we want to protect those that we have friendships with and relationships with. I think the messaging is going to be our biggest thing, but in a way that is appealing enough, catchy enough, and witty enough that people just want to do it because you're kind of the outsider if you don't do it. But we're always going to be fighting that uphill battle, I think, of the politics and regionally what's happening around us when some of our areas geographically are a little bit more aggressive in the letting the public health lead, and we're not so much the case. I think locally we're doing a great job. We've said we're going to let public health lead this recommendation, and we're still stressing it's important. But when you zoom out within our state, and that's not necessarily a unified message, that becomes conflicting and difficult, I think, for residents. So those are my 2 cents.
I wanted to maybe share just an observation from being in the mall every day and what we're seeing here. And I'm not really surprised to hear that 20 to 29-year-old segment is the one, or is the group that is getting sick, because, we were really relieved when the mask order was passed, and we're excited about it. And we've seen so much improvement inside the shopping center, even though since we reopened May 15th, we've been asking people to wear a mask. We didn't mandate it until beginning of July when the mask order came down. Since then, we have seen a huge improvement in it, but the people that we're seeing not wearing them are definitely in that 20 to 29-year-old group. Our security guards here, we bought masks so that they're here to hand them out to people and say, here, this is for you. Put it on your face when you're inside. But with that said, because of that group, the messaging and the way to connect with them, I mean, we obviously know social media is such a powerful tool for that. Just was seeing, I don't know if you guys have seen New York's ad contest that they did for face masks, and I can send it out in the email to the group, but they just announced their winners, and I haven't watched the videos yet, but some of them have really, I mean, you can tell what they're about. So there's one that's called You Can Still Smile, and it just has, I mean, we're all smiling with our eyes and doing the Tyra Banks like smize now, right, when you pass by people. There's one that's called That Guy. Like, we all know that guy, don't be that guy that nobody wants to be around. So there's one that's Do the Right Thing. We Love New York. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that there's a way that we could imitate what they did and really try to target at that 20 to 29-year-old group and get them involved in creating something through social media that helps them get the messaging out to their peers and is also creating something that's shareable content for the city as well.
That's a tremendous idea, and it sounds like Christy saw those as well, and said the videos were great. So yeah, if you can share that link with us, that would be very appreciated, Cheryl.
Yeah.
There was another one that I saw that was cute, and we may be able to work with PD and our therapy dog, Josie. There's been a couple of police departments across the country that are showing how to wear the masks with their police dogs. So they have it like hanging off the ear or over the eyes or under the chin and all those other common ways that we see them on people's faces. And that would be a fun way for us to just show the appropriate way to wear a mask as well. It's one of those things that it's a little bit harder for us to have that lightheartedness on this when it comes to government communication, because it is a deadly disease and people are in the hospital, they're not able to see family and friends, and people are dying. So where we have community partners that can help us with some of that lightheartedness in the community, we love that idea. So I really like the video idea where we could encourage our young people to be creative. There's a large group of them that are looking for things to do right now, not being able to do some of the things that they would like to. And I really like that idea.
The other way I was thinking we could approach this, and this might be for an older population, well, not older, just outside of that 20 to 29 segment, is, I think it's very personal to a lot of us, and maybe, getting some people to talk about why they wear a mask. I mean, other than they have to now. Why is it important to you? Whether it's I live with my older mother, or I still want to be able to see her, or, I know somebody that was sick, or I don't know, like, how can we make it personal for people? I mean, I know for me, it's like, I just want to make other people feel comfortable. I want to have good manners. It can be as simple as that. But that might be another question that we could ask and try to get some involvement and get some statements from people about like why they do it, why it's important to them.
So we did a I'm Staying Home For campaign towards the beginning of the stay-at-home order. It did not take off very well. I think there's a lot of varying feelings on that, as you guys are probably saw in the community. That is not to say that we can't try again and do the I'm wearing a mask for campaign. But if there are particular partners in the community that we suggest that we reach out to, that might go further than just depending on that individual interaction with some of those. So if there's a high school film class that's going on in the summer school right now that we could do for the video competition, that may be something that we could leverage and go farther there than just asking for those submissions without some sort of root in a group. Any ideas you have on that, happy to listen, guys.
Or if each of us got...
Is George Caleb Bingham Academy going on right now? I think it is. I mean, that's the summer arts, it's performing arts, filmmaking, multimedia. It's a school district thing that Molly and Ron Clemens.
I can ask Zach Gall because I know he used to do it.
Yeah, he does.
I'll text him right now while we're on here.
Yeah, that would be great, because maybe that's something that some of their kids would want to do, or even like a, performance of some kind. I mean, I don't know how in the heck they're doing, their program, but those kids are
very talented.
Very talented, and they're like, some of them are. Most of them are high school, but I know like one of my daughter's friends is in it this summer, and she just graduated from Van Horn. So, I mean, some of them are like going to college, or maybe even freshmen in college who are in it. So they're kind of older teens, who can have pretty great skills. So
I'll keep you posted. I just texted him.
Oh, thanks, Angie.
Bryce, you had an idea?
I was just going to say, if we, with the idea of why I wear a mask, if we just made our sort of selves responsible of getting like one or two people to do that and just shoot it on your phone and send it to Meg or send it to whoever, that would be an easy way to do it. And it doesn't make, the burden isn't on one person, it's just on all of us to get like even just one or two. And if you get us as a group, then you end up with close to 20 why I wear a mask stories, because and our reasons are different. I think, and so you get all those different stories, and the burden doesn't fall on one person to just get a huge group. So,
right. Just like what, 15, 20 seconds per
Yeah.
explanation. Yeah. I mean, I could do that. I could just walk around.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are willing to help with that, any content that you can provide on stuff like that is very well. Like, we have a small team that's doing all the communications on this stuff, so we love it when people are out like, yeah, we'll send you stuff. Okay, send it our way. And yeah, all we need somebody like I'm wearing a mask for, and they could hold something up, or they can say, you know, my family, my immunocompromised, insert, you know, relative or friend.
I
there.
may.
Go ahead. I'm not sure who that was, but we lost you. If you're trying, is that you, Michelle?
It was Michelle.
You muted yourself again, real quick. I can't unmute you. You muted yourself, okay. Michelle.
No, I'm talking to another call that's just Alaska that I need to join. But can you give us a can you give us a deadline when we want to have those sent to you?
Midweek next week. Is that too early?
Okay, and I'm away, and then I'll rejoin you here pretty soon.
Thank you. And we we like the idea of the mask messaging. We have some local people that are producing masks with independence-related messaging. There's a wide variety of places there. I don't know that we could budgetarily purchase masks with messaging on it, but it is something where we could have a campaign. I can't remember what the city was. It was, I think, in Arizona maybe, where all they had was a series of people putting up their mask. So it was just a quick clip of multiple people putting up their mask, and then it had the different messages on there, the different shapes, colors, types, sizes, all of those different things on there. That may be a cool way to highlight sort of Meredith's message on how we're all communicating with our masks now. When using the hashtag #MaskUpIndependence, because it was literally somebody pulling their mask up. So even as you guys are doing the I'm wearing my mask for, if you can get that quick clip of the person pulling their mask up, that would be a lot of footage that we could utilize to pull together a message along those lines. So that is a lot of really good feedback. I did want to let you guys know, one of the things that is really driving these decisions at the regional level is the data behind the cases. So with the mask order going into effect at the beginning of July, they needed about 14 to 28 days worth of data to show the impact of that order. So right now, we are still seeing cases from the end of June and early July and haven't really yet seen the data associated with the new order. So they hope to have a better understanding of that towards the end of next week, early August, which is when we'll start seeing some more decisions on phases and continuations of those orders. So it is a regular thing that we are talking to them about and asking questions about, because we know our citizens have questions about that as well, but did want to give you guys that insight there. So the lyrics, I showed those up real quick, and I can share those again here in a second. That was just a fun idea that came across on one of the communications groups that I'm a part of. I don't know that we necessarily need to be as formal as the signs. I was talking to a couple people just sort of spitballing ideas, and it could be store windows, it could be sidewalk chalk, it could be all sorts of different things. But what do you guys think about sort of doing another, I don't say competition necessarily, but just a community participation ask where they share a famous quote or lyrics are fun because a lot of people like music, just to make it more something that they can grasp onto. Thoughts?
I think if you open it up to the community, you would probably get a lot of not ones that would benefit you.
Yeah.
And so that'd be my biggest worry if we open it up to a competition is that. To put that as nicely as I possibly can.
Bryce, you mean you don't like the idea, I pity the fool who doesn't wear a mask?
No, I mean, see, that's great.
I love that one. I had that ready to go for months.
For every I pity the fool, you would get, how dare you become a tyrannical city, or whatever. That would be my worry about opening up a competition like that.
Yeah. If we could all just put our heads together, though, and get creative and come up with a list, it could be fun to make it into a Spotify playlist. But, like, if you wanted to see, like, the COVID-19 names for it, that, you could see that, but then you could go get that playlist, like, on Spotify or whatever, and just make it public.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
We actually did. In one of the other organizations I'm involved with, we made a YouTube playlist. So it was not only the lyrics associated with it, but the videos associated with it. And we had the YouTube link that you could go to and then watch the videos of that. That is actually, I love music is something that I have used to get through this, and a lot of people do. So I think that's a really fun idea to have a YouTube playlist that shows the different lyrics associated with some of these.
Yeah.
One way we could maybe avoid what Bryce is so accurately predicting is that maybe we could have, like, different groups or neighborhoods register and say, we'll provide you with some supplies. I mean, we can buy some chalk. I know that idea that we saw that I think they did up on the square, Cindy, with the paint that the message appears when it gets wet, was really, really cool. We could maybe, do something like that, but maybe control it a little bit and say, have your neighborhood, the Square Association, Englewood, Fairmount, the mall. I mean, whoever kind of, sign up to do some messaging, and we could probably support that in some way. And then it's not, your totalitarian, taking away all my rights types of messaging. And it'll get criticized. I mean, there's no avoiding that. But, there's a lot of groups who are looking for activities to do together that they can't do, like Sunday school classes and book clubs and coffee clubs and wine drinking clubs and whatever it is. So maybe we could help to identify. I mean, Angie, obviously, she's got her whole neighborhood all organized and looking for fun stuff to do. So that might be a way to do it.
We'd be happy to.
I know you would.
Well, and that gets to the idea. It's become a viral hashtag called Random Acts of Community. And the McCoy neighborhood has done a tremendous job of these ideas where they've done mazes on the sidewalks with sidewalk chalk, just positive messages in windows, teddy bear hunts, rainbows, etc., that are appearing out there. And I think throughout all of this, I think the message that we can come together while we're apart through activities like that is needed more than ever as it continues to sort of prolong. Now that we're in whatever month this is, 4 or 5, they've all started to blur together. So any ideas you guys have on that? And Mayor, we can definitely talk about how we could provide the resources for like sidewalk chalk. And just so you guys know, I'm going to read some of the comments in the chat. And Angie, yeah, we can share you with that with you. It's hashtag random acts of community, which is a longer hashtag, I know, but it is becoming popular with those activities. Okay, so we talked about music. I love the idea of the playlist, and Michelle mentioned doing something around history and Truman. Do you guys want to play off of that for a little bit and talk about ideas associated with it? Holly, you shook your head. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I mean, Truman, you know, when you think of independence, you think of Harry S. Truman, obviously. You know, I don't know, does he have a mask on now, the bronze statue? I figured he does. I mean, he had some pretty funny things to say. I'm sure we could, you know, put those in there as well. I don't know. Are you thinking about, I mean, we're talking about signs. So are we talking about signs just randomly put places around the city, or is that kind of what you're thinking?
So I don't know that we'll actually print the signs. If somebody would like to, we can definitely work with them. Again, it's a cost factor associated with that right now. And everybody's very, very budget conscious right now because of what's going on. But even just graphics that we can show. One of the ideas, and I wanted to run it by you guys, the famous quote from President Truman that is often used is "the buck stops here." So we've played around with the idea of the curve stops here, or the bug stops here, and playing off of that. What are your thoughts on something along those lines?
I think that sounds good. It's relatable. It's independence. I think it would be good.
Do you guys have a favorite? Other ideas of blank stops here?
I was thinking virus before, but the bug is good too.
So Meg, I put in an example. I think if we can make it somehow coy, but still, you know, give relevance to Truman, but then loop in the importance of wearing the mask. So one I found was like, always be sincere, even if you don't mean it, and then have his name, and then maybe have the mayor or someone else who's relevant in the city. If we need to take kind of the government piece out of it, always wear a smile, even if no one can see it. And it happens to rhyme. So we could attribute that to someone, or it could be like some, you know, fifth grader, I don't know, Blackburn Elementary School. Like we could attribute to a kid that doesn't have a name. So I think people will see that, and it's cute and it's quirky. And I think there's so many easy printing options either around town or online that you can literally get these made for, I think, $3 a piece or less. So even if like Sunshine Apparel or maybe Corporate Copy, if we would like settle on 4 or 5 catchy quotes and signs that would be available, maybe we can encourage people to purchase them so they have 4 set options and they can put them in their yard, they can put them everywhere. But anyway, so that's a thought.
Yeah, I like the idea of getting people to like put signs in their yard with everything on there, and they can go and purchase them for whatever. And
yeah, and the good point, Bryce. I was thinking on the quote, I wouldn't change the Truman quote. It would just be like another quote or a follow-up related to the mask right behind it. I would agree. I wouldn't alter the quote at all, but I would try to put something that's a little catchy and coy right behind it so that it connects to our heritage. It's a little funny, but it still has that importance of wearing the mask connected to it.
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to get you guys' feedback. I mean, the Truman statue had a great deal of concern because he didn't have his hat on, and people are very aware of Truman and all the details associated with him. So it's one of those things that we have to walk very carefully. We always like to reference him, but and that's why I asked Bryce. I really appreciate your candid response there. Of community is overly protective of some of those pieces, and rightfully so, protecting our history. So if you guys have any favorite quotes from Truman, living in independence, it's hard not to hear a Truman quote probably few times a month. We would love to hear those if you want to send them our way, and we can see what we can play with there.
Is that something that you would want by midweek next week as well?
Yes, please. Yep. Okay. So then the other piece under this section of the agenda was positive story ideas. One thing that we are hearing sort of research showing is people want positive things that they can do or things that they can control during all of this, because it's really hard when so much of it changes from day to day and we don't know what's going to happen next. The bingo card reference continues to be used by a lot of different people of 2020 bingo and what's going to happen from month to month. So if there are positive story ideas or things that we can look for in the community, we'd love to hear from you guys on any ideas that you have on that.
Hey, Meg, let me tell you what the Square and Inglewood are working on together, actually, and you may have heard about this already, but August 21st, 22nd, 23rd, we're working on a sidewalk chalk art event called Chalk the Walk, and connecting the square to Inglewood. Everybody's encouraged to come up, bring your chalk. We're kind of using the theme about what do you miss, what have you missed the most while social distancing. We're working to get some media coverage of that before and then, of course, during. That's also the third Friday, which I believe the Inglewood Arts Building is unveiling a new mural, like a 30-foot mural. So there should be a lot of kind of fun things happening that would make people, excited about the community, the city in which they live in, and, a free event to come up and do with your family. We're also going to try to look for some really cool chalk artists to kind of come up and, do a few of the sidewalk panels, I guess, so to speak. So we're just, open to everybody and anybody. And I also think that might be the same weekend that CSL does their back to school fair. I think they're still TBD on that date, but I think they were looking at later in August. And we might also be helping them kind of get some media coverage on that too. So that might be another positive thing, so to speak, going on around the same time.
Okay. What were the dates on those again, Cindy?
So the Chalk the Walk, it is August 21st through, that's a Friday, through Sunday, the 23rd. So people can come up like that Friday night through Sunday at noon. And then we're hoping to have everything done by Sunday at noon so people can walk and see all the different art.
Definitely let us know when you have the materials out to promote that, because it is sort of a community-wide, bringing everybody together event. It meets some of our standards there, so we can help get information out about that. So just let us know.
We should have a Facebook event post today sometime, and we've got a graphic and stuff created, but yeah, then we'll send everything your way.
Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Anything else? Well, if you guys come across a positive story in your neighborhood, or we're trying to watch the news stories for some of this. A lot of it has been sort of the police sort of birthday party participation and other stuff like that. We'll like it and sort of, we've shared a couple of those initially, but if there's other ideas or stories that you guys are seeing, I'm trying to take more social media breaks throughout all of this, because it is mentally fatiguing to be on there all the time with the comments that are going on there. But you guys see things that I don't. And anytime you have a story that you're like, oh, this would be a good positive story to share with the community, send it our way and we'll review it for getting it out there. So the next thing that we had on our agenda for today is continuing Independence Story this fall. This is one of those things that we're going to have to prepare for either eventuality. We have no idea when we'll move to future phases or what those future phases will look like as we wait for this vaccine and antibody treatment. So at this time, social event gatherings are limited to 100 people or less, and some of that is depending on where the event is or what type of event it is. So we continue to work with the county on understanding those, as well as sort of monitoring the situation in the community. But that is starting to see some cancellations into September and October, and even further into the fall. So ways that we can continue talking about independence, our history, the stories that are here, even when we don't have some of those big events. I would love to hear you guys' ideas as we can prepare for those communications further into the fall. I see lots of thinking faces. So our goal is to have these meetings now once a month. So we can add that to you guys' sort of to-do list here, which you have quite a hefty to-do list, more than usual for our committee, but I appreciate your guys' willingness to help on all of this. So if you guys want to think of different ways that we can tell the story of independence this fall and different ideas that you have to share all of that, let us know. The historic homes are closed through the season, so they will potentially reopen for the holiday season, depending on where we're at with everything. We'll let everybody know later this fall. But we have so many different things that we can talk about. It's just what should we focus on, and balancing that with all of the other stuff that we have going on right now.
So Meg, I think I heard it and I understand, but just to make sure I'm clear, from this committee, there's a lot of competing priorities, and obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic. What would the city and the mayor say would be the most beneficial way that this committee could assist? Like if we were to prioritize what's most important right now, is it reinforcing the wearing of the mask? Is it community support and wraparound that good social connection can still happen in the midst of a pandemic? Where should our focus, if we were to say 1, 2, and 3, the things that this committee could largely help with in the next couple of months? Is it getting those 4 signs, locked in and voted upon, available to the public, so that can become something that's widely seen across the city? Like, what would be those top 2 or 3 items that this committee could really tangibly help support the city with? That would help me, at least.
Yeah. Mayor, do you want to talk about that? I think she may have stepped away a little bit, but helping us reinforce some of those key health messages is a continuing struggle. So anytime that we can have people supporting us with the mask messages, the social distancing messages, but also being good role models of that. So in the pictures that you guys help produce for the different groups that you're involved with, that's very, very helpful for us to see that sort of adaptation within the community of those key pieces. And then I would say helping us with some of these other messages. So the videos and the content that you guys have offered to help us with on the I Wear a Mask for, and then Mask Up with just the images of people pulling up the masks, are very, very helpful. So I would say that one is 2. And then the continuing messages around how we can, positively come together. So it would be at the signs or the sidewalk chalks efforts, and supporting those with pieces there, I think would be very powerful. And if one of you wanted to take the lead to start that playlist of songs associated with some of these common lyrics, that would be tremendous. Okay. So I'm taking notes real quick so that I have those in our minutes. Since we're going to sort of move that continuing independent story this fall to a to-do list for you guys, one thing that I do want to have on people's radar from this committee is the Truman Library. And Michelle had to step away, but we anticipate that this fall at some point. I have no idea what that's going to look like in COVID pandemic land. So I don't know how we'll have that. The 24 highway bridge is probably going to either be part of the library ribbon cutting or worked into that overall celebration there. And then other events, if you guys hear information about those, let us know. But most of those events will depend on where we're at in the phasing and how many people can gather at a time for that. So the last thing that we had on here is the idea and roundtable. So if there are things that you guys want to make sure that we have on future agendas or just random suggestions associated with the brand and our story and all of that you would like to hear more about, let me know and I'll put that in my notes and we can have that conversation now while I'm writing down what we just talked about on goals.
So I kind of have a random thought. I guess considering with this one included, this is probably my 4th brand meeting. And so obviously the world and our country has changed since the last time we met. But over the course of time since we haven't met, I have wondered about, everything we kind of talked about in those first 3 meetings, like is basically as far as a vast majority of what we talked about, is all that kind of on the back burner now, or where we're at with kind of, I know we talked a lot about products and we kind of had, more ideas about with the anniversary of Truman this year, we kind of had all that going on too. So is all that kind of tabled for now?
So March 13th blew up my world. And I went from being at City Hall every day to going to the EOC for operations there to going home and focusing on operations related to that. And I'm going to be very candid, about 75% of my time right now is COVID-19 related. It's starting to transition a little bit more back to maybe 60-40, but that depends on the day and what's happening. So between February 25th and March 13th, there was not a lot of time for me to go forward and act on some of those. We did share the ideas with the library on some of the presentations that we suggested there, but like everywhere else, they're not having the patrons that they had previously had. So I think there's an opportunity for us to continue those conversations with them. The materials, that one, I just haven't had time to reach out to the different groups, and some of them have shut down or transitioned their production to other areas based on what's happening right now. So some of that is on hold because of what happened like 2 weeks after our meeting last time, but a lot of it is things that I don't want to get pushed completely off. I just can't pull them to the front burners right now because of where or how to focus on some of this stuff. It is not to say that it isn't important, because it very much is important. And I hope that you guys have seen how we have utilized the brand, even in the COVID messaging that we have done, from the graphics to the videos. All of that has very much been present in how we're presenting that information to the public, and consistent with colors and images and fonts and all of those pieces there. But I agree, Bryce, there are opportunities for us to move further on some of those. I only have the bandwidth for so much right now with what's going on.
And by no means am I putting the world changed. Like, so I'm not, it's not like, man, what happened to all the things we talked about? It's not at all like that at all. So it was just, and yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk about, handbags either right now, because it's not the right time. So I was just, I was curious. That's all.
Hopefully in the first quarter of 2021, we can get back to some of those more typical pieces that we have for this committee. That depends on a lot of things that are out of our control. So everybody put their positivity hat, cross your fingers, do whatever you need to do to put that out into the world that we're back on our normal trajectory by 2021, and we'll transition to that. You guys are a tremendous asset of creativity to us as we are looking at messaging opportunities and ways to continue telling the story of independence. So that's why the mayor really thought it was important for this committee to come back together this month and continue that conversation into the next few months. And I really need the sort of sparks that you guys bring together right now, because I mean, we're working long days, long hours on all of this stuff, and it's fatiguing. So having you guys come and be like, oh yeah, playlist would be really fun. Yeah, it would be really fun. Thank you for the idea. Or, you know, thinking about ways that we can do signs or have those fun events of community. I get lost in some of this from time to time because it is constantly reading the news and looking at all the different pieces. So I really, really appreciate this committee coming together and giving those ideas to help us continue telling the story and the brand of independence.
I was just thinking, which I don't think too much, no, sorry. But I was thinking, you know, we go before Truman. We have a pioneer spirit in independence, and I don't know if we could capture our pioneering spirit and how many things that we have had overcome in our lives and in our history. And I don't know how if we could use it as we are pioneering mask wearing. We were going to set the example. I don't know. I was just thinking we do have a pioneer spirit and a can-do attitude. So I don't know how we could capture that. I'm not the best at doing it. It just hit me. So
I always love that imagery, Mary. I mean, I just think that resonates with people who, you know, may not connect with Harry Truman. You know, I just think about, you know, even the people who are new to our community now, and some of them are new to this country. You know, a lot of them are, and the things that they've, you know, overcome and the choices that they've made to be here. I mean, just, I think that is still so powerful. And, you know, just that sense of survival, and we will, you know, we'll get through this and we'll, you know, find a way, is really powerful. I mean, we all love Truman because he's charming and witty and quotable and whatever, but I think kind of connecting with that inner strength and determination is really powerful for a lot of people. I mean, you know, from kids all the way up, you know, to senior citizens who just, you know, have that kind of inner determination.
So 2 things on that. One, I hope that you guys saw the tourism video that they put out. Christy, was that in April, that sort of talked about the pioneering spirit will come back stronger than ever after this? If you didn't see it, it
was in May. I'll find it. Yeah, and I'll.
We could probably kind of relaunch some of that stuff because, gosh, I mean, there's been so much over the months that, you know, I don't think it's going to feel like a rehash. People probably missed it, you know, the first time.
But playing off the pioneer spirit concept, are there other visuals or stories or things that we could do to help make that part of today's story?
You know, have we done something with Ralph during this time? I saw him the other day up on the square, of course, and just stopped and chatted with him. You know, it's just something that I think is really unique, doing something with Ralph and his wagon. And I asked him how business was, and he said, well, it's slow, but I get 100% of whatever business there is, so that's good. Okay, I gotta go. I have to go get to another meeting, and plus my battery's about to die. So Meg, I'll catch up with you later. Thank you, everybody. It's good to see everyone. Bye.
So we can definitely maybe do an interview with Ralph. It might be something, I don't know that we've done anything with the Jackson County Historical Society on sort of looking back on how the community responded in the 1919 pandemic and how we made it through that. So that might be something. Anything else that you guys can think of?
That is a fantastic idea. And did you say, so are the Independence videographers back, or are they, so they would be able to do that, or would someone else?
So as most businesses are right now, we're trying to keep the social distancing and limiting the touch and all of that. So we do have 2 videographers now. We've downsized in the team since we last met with you guys, but we can work around their schedules. Steve, who is helping air this live on YouTube and City 7 right now, is one of our videographers, but he is also managing all of our digital meetings right now, which, as you guys know, because we're not having meetings in person, there is a dramatic increase in digital meetings and his need for the different broadcasts associated with that. Zach, our other videographer, is working on tourism stuff, but we'll be finishing up some of those big pieces soon and can get back to some of the videography as well. But if we have sort of set ideas and I can work it around their other pieces, we can definitely start doing with those. I know we have a tremendous relationship with the Jackson County Historical Society, and they love telling the story associated with the history of our community, as well as the many great visuals that they have associated with the different pieces from the different groups that they have there. So definitely can reach out to them and talk to them about what they may have, imagery and stories related to the pandemic and the 100 years ago, basically. Ralph, it's not as easy to get the social distancing in some of those videos because of the lapel mics. Bryce, you probably know this as well, just from your videography experience. Lavalier mics do not pick up masks very well. So it is a lot more of those handheld mic situations, which we can definitely try to find something to do there. But I love the idea of talking to Ralph.
Or even a boom mic from overhead. And so if Zach, or if they, organizing digital meetings sounds like a full-time job. So if I can help with any sort of historical society shoot or any video needs, then I would be more than happy to do that, because that's a great idea to talk to them about what was going on 100 years ago, and even some similarities of, how many people 100 years ago thought everybody was freaking out for no reason, So like all that stuff is very interesting to me. So if I can help Zach or your team in any way, then I would love to.
Thank you very much, Bryce. We will put that in our pocket as a card to play when we need it. So
yeah.
we appreciate it.
Count me in.
Okay. So those are some great pieces of feedback and ideas. Did anybody, I apologize if I was cutting anybody off. Crystal, was that you?
Yeah, it was me. I just had an idea. The World War I Museum has this section, if you guys have been there, that they have just sound bites. It's music or it's stories, obvious. Sometimes it might be an actual recording of someone, and sometimes it might actually just be a character soundbite. And the kids especially always love that because it feels very interactive. They can actually hear someone speaking. And it just makes it more real, I think, and more vivid. It's not a video, so it's not as expensive. It's not as, hard, I guess, to produce, and maybe not as expensive. Is that something that could be a possibility?
So Crystal, Chris, that is a great idea, and it's very much in line with what we've been working on around the My Independence story. So we actually have a platform on our indept.us/ourbrand where we encourage people to share their stories, and that's a great reminder that we can reshare that resource, much like the video that Christy linked in our chats over here, where we're asking people just to do those quick blog-like story posts that we can then utilize for potential videos. So that is a long-term goal of this committee, is to have that. If you guys have suggestions for those My Independence stories, even if it is a different take of those My Independence stories now, based on some of the times that we're living through, please encourage family, friends, peers in the community to submit those through the indept.us/ourbrand page, and we'll look in there for those submissions to share. They're very, very popular on our social media when we have those submissions on there, but very much in line with what you're suggesting, Chris. So please encourage people to submit them there, and we can get those blog posts that then can become videos and sound bites of our community.
Well, I was thinking of linking it to, like you were talking about, the flu pandemic, or like the pioneer days in the historical society and things like that.
I agree. I think that's a great opportunity. And if you have people that have particular stories that you know of associated with those, they can either submit them through that platform or just email me, and I can grab those. And if anybody watching and listening to this show right now has ideas, please submit them through that website so that we can help tell those stories of our community. Well, as always, you guys are a tremendous wealth of ideas and creativity and just sort of revitalization for the story of our community. Is there anything else you guys would like to talk about as we're sort of wrapping things up here today?
Meg, can you put in the chat or just remind us, what are those standing hashtags, whether it be IndeptMo or Independent Strong, I can't remember, that we maybe talked about before the pandemic? Because I think, just a reminder, there's always power in the social share. So, I always have a great experience at Chick-fil-A and Independence. It has nothing to do with history, but it is a promo of how we're getting together, and I can see service. And if I see something that I think is worth a great little caption, I'll capture it really quickly, and I'll put it on my Facebook, which has 2,500 followers. So I think each of us have our respective personal and professional social platforms that if we see something or that tells one of those 3 priorities and helps you meet those priorities, if we can tag it with that particular hashtag so that we just continue that circle of sharing, that would be really helpful to know.
So the most common hashtag associated with us is hashtag IndependenceMo, full spell out. We thought it would be IndeptMo, but it's not. Hashtag full independence, spelled correctly, Mo. The other that we have used associated with the brand and the relaunch there, and particularly when we're telling stories, is A Great American Story there. We have used Indept Strong for various pieces. It is very close to the ISD Strong and some other pieces that are used in there, so it's not really taken off, but we use it periodically. Right now, we have the Stay Strong, Stay Kind, Stay Apart sort of that are being used associated with the pandemic. And then we regularly use the helping families, hashtag local, depending on the different resources and information that we're providing for the community. So, and then finally, the other one that we talked about today is hashtag random acts of community, where you're seeing those sort of ground roots efforts of like the teddy bear walks, the rainbow windows, the healthcare thank yous, the clapping at 7 o'clock to thank our frontline workers throughout all of those. If you see stuff like that, random acts of community is the hashtag to use with that. But if you tag the city on all of those, we are monitoring social media for those more common hashtags so that we can pull those up. And I think last week we had a group that was here and they were taking pictures of the Vale and talking about how pretty some of our historic homes were. So we, randomly went onto their Instagram and said, "Hi, hope you're having a great visit in Independence." And we can do more of that as we get greater use of that. So thank you very much, Bryce, for being here. If you guys have any other ideas or thoughts on this, let me know. Really appreciate your willingness to help us with content for telling the stories that are going on right now and how it's really impacting our community. Most of those, so the mask up, I'm wearing a mask for quotes from Truman are due next Wednesday, just a reminder. So email those to me. And really, again, appreciate you guys taking time today to talk to us, and we'll schedule something again next month, probably also on a digital platform for us to get together. So let us know if you have any other ideas, questions, concerns in the meantime, and thank you for helping us get these important messages out to the community. So stay healthy, stay safe, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.